Hello legends and super legends. Welcome to Veloharmony. This morning we're having similar weather to last week, although we have sunshine today. It's going to be from 5.5 C to about 10 C during the ride. It was I guess 26 C yesterday, something like that. It was in the 80s yesterday, and within 7 or 8 hours the front blew in. By early last night it was like 10 C. It had dropped like 12 degrees in no time. So that's the weather we have down here, because it's mostly tropical, and these fronts come around. Maybe sometimes it'll last a week or two or whatever, but nothing that organized. So the reason I'm holding this is I'm having hot cocoa this morning, because after Frankie's fit on Wednesday, on Thursday I had a bit of a fever, so I did not ride on Thursday. I let my body kind of rest a little bit. I was just feeling feverish. I believe that it was a virus, because by Friday morning I felt like myself again. So all day Friday I was alternating between taking Motrin and Tylenol and so forth, so just to alleviate the symptoms so I could work. So this morning I'm wearing they call it a gaiter sometimes. I call it a neck warmer. You want to protect your neck when you're in the situation I'm in, where I've got achy throat, my jaw area, my joints were achy, now they're better. So today's ride for me will be mostly endurance, zone 2 stuff. So if the boys want to play, I would just sit in and let them go and just sit in a draft, because it's okay to exercise when you're sick, or when you're having anything above the neck, let's say runny nose, all that kind of stuff, but don't go and do 2 hours of intervals. Do a moderate ride, because that actually stimulates the creation of the white blood cells and other antibodies that fight the viruses. I will make a video about how to cycle when you're sick, or cycling when sick. That will have more details, but I just want to share this with you. So I'm wearing my tights. I'm wearing, of course, my base layer, and I'm going to be wearing this jacket. Not jacket, a jersey. Rafa jersey is a brevet jersey. These are reflectors on there, even though they're gray. When light hits it, they sparkle. And I will be wearing my Rafa protein cap. Let me put this down here. And I will be covering my ears. So normally, if I were 100%, I would just wear a cotton cap on a day like today. But I'm going to keep my body a little warmer, so it's not fighting that. And I'm going to make sure that my intensity does not go too high today. And sometimes you get out on a ride like this, if you feel like it, you get out there, you feel great. If you feel good when you're out there, then fine, you can kind of ride based on how you feel, because you never really know what the body will do. Because as long as the ailments you're having are at the neck or above, you got the green light. When you start having issues with your chest, breathing, and different things like that, congestion, then you need to take the day off and let your body fight that, because this is pretty minor. And sometimes a ride can actually clear the head cold and different things that you're fighting. So generally I feel fine. It's just a little achiness and the sore throat that's there. So that's why I'm covering my neck, because you get exposed to a lot of stuff in the wind hitting your neck, and that's what you do. So I'm gonna go ahead and get ready, and I hope you all get a chance to get some K's in. I'm taking my usual banana bread. I wrapped 3 of them, and I'm taking 2 gels, because I don't know how my body's going to perform since I'm not 100%. So I may need a spike of energy. But if I get out there and I feel fine, then I will ride like I normally do. So I'm gonna get ready.
All right, legends. I had a little bit of a technical issue with my battery. I'm not sure what's going on. Just got Frankie. There's Paul. He's finally decided to put on his. Go straight. We're turning. Let's go.
Paul's wearing his Belgian shoe covers over socks.
Good morning. Good morning.
They're hard to put on, so he doesn't like to wear them that much.
When do we not fight the wind? You guys hear Paul? Let me turn them on.
Yeah, Paul said we're going to be fighting the wind today.
This morning I get out, I charge both of the batteries together. Remember, I was right on the computer, the 2 chargers. I put them in together, they were both charged. The one that was in the camera, I started the camera this morning, it says low battery. Then it went off. So when I got over here, I put the other battery in there, so we're good. But I'm gonna go ahead and order a 3rd battery. They're like $20 on Amazon. Because they just don't last.
Yeah.
You know?
What's up, Frankie?
Frankie's cold. Frankie said it's cold.
It's cold.
Yeah, it's cold.
He's coming to the fast,
He got that. I don't blame
What's up,
him.
Frankie?
I got my neck warmer on too.
Yo, look at you. I got fit, man. I see that.
The boys, you know, some of the guys put comments out there. They want to see the results. Man, look at this guy. He look like Darth Vader. I just realized he covered his whole face.
I know. That's what I just
You were talking about it. I didn't realize it because he wasn't covered when we rolled out. He don't want to deal with this cold. I don't blame him.
It's all right.
Yeah, Frankie, you look stable, man. You see where he's sitting now?
I see.
You see where he's sitting? That's what I'm talking about. The boys want to see the results.
It was a different kind of cold this morning. I don't know what was going on. Whether it was wet, cold, dry, cold. It was just cold. It was just very cold. I haven't turned on the head unit yet. I think I'm doing that right here. Yeah, the stats are showing up now. You see I got speed, kilometers. I upgraded the software that I use for the overlay.
Man, Frankie did not want to stop riding. Frankie sent me a text. He said, I just got off my bike.
Yeah, I went home and started riding.
The new software, you can see a cyclist there and all the stats, which I thought was really neat.
Keeping the bike in his bedroom.
Yeah.
He told me about that. I started laughing. He started keeping
Look
the
at
bike
Frankie's
in the
face.
bedroom.
Frankie's
I
got
was
his
like,
face
man.
completely covered. He's not putting on a show.
Feel
It's
like I got a
cold.
new bike.
What is the temperature? The temperature is on that,
He didn't want nobody tampering with the
on
equipment.
the bottom, right below the RPM to the left, 4C, and it feels colder because we're going into the wind. It feels like
You
1C.
got your Belgian shoe covers
Yeah,
on.
man.
They're kind of hard to get on. On the right foot,
Yeah.
when you pull it all the way up,
Yeah.
it slides up the back of the shoe.
Uh-huh.
So it leaves the shoe exposed. So what I do, I don't pull it all the way up so it can cover. Because it starts riding up.
I said,
But you good.
this morning I was talking to him. I said, I see the reason why I haven't put these suckers on.
It's hard to get on. What you have to do is you have to fold them first
Yeah.
to the front hole.
Yeah.
Keep it tight, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then pull it over the front hole. If you put it on like regular socks, it's a pain.
Yeah, I know. I had to try it this morning. I'm like, man, this sucker is hard to get on.
You have to, so I make it short. I fold it to the first hole, slip it over the front, and then work it over the shoe.
Look
Yeah.
at Frankie, man. I'm going to film you all day, my brother.
This is the first day with that ear infection, and after this ride, I felt the effect. During the ride, I was fine, but I made sure my ears were covered. And you can hear the wind. We're going into the north wind, so that 4C does not represent what we're feeling. It feels like 1C. So we're not chatting around this morning. It's cold. We're getting into the business of riding. If you look at the new
We
stats,
need to get on with the business of riding.
yep, you heard me
It's
say
cold.
that. Yeah, I
Let's
told these
ride.
guys, let's ride. It's cold.
You guys are cold. I'm okay.
Because you warmed up. You warmed up on your ride over here. Come on, Frankie, let's go.
Frankie, get on up there, man. With your Ferrari engine.
That's what Frankie mentioned during the fit. Building a Ferrari engine.
Frankie said, man.
Frankie said he was going to build.
I said, oh, man. We got something to look forward to.
Only lasted about a couple of seconds.
Look at Frankie looking like Darth Vader.
That's all good, Frankie.
You guys notice the mud flaps on my bike? I just put
Best
the rain,
investment you have done,
the
man.
mud flaps on and left
It
them
is.
on
It's
there
gonna
because we're
take you a long
expecting a lot of rain during the festive 500. I actually thought it was going to rain today, Saturday during the ride. But it's cold.
Lead us, Ferrari engine. Ah.
During the fit, Frankie was saying that we have a Ferrari engine now. He's going to build his Ferrari engine. We start working on revs in
Yeah.
the new year. Probably around March, we start ramping intensity.
I'm open to anything, man. I'm all ready to ride.
We're discussing the route.
Well, what should we do, man? 60? Should we do 60 today?
I've created a monster with Paul.
Okay.
He just loves riding long rides now. I mean, it's like he'll call a 3-hour ride a short ride. I told him the other day. I said, forget that. A 3-hour ride is not a short ride.
That's good. Yeah.
So we're gonna do. I think we're doing tomball today.
Yeah, tomorrow let's do at least 80, man.
Here, he's crazy.
If we can speed 80, man, we're good.
I
Yeah.
think we ended up doing close to that. I don't remember what the mileage was, but we did more than 4 hours.
Tomorrow I want to live outside, man.
The way I ended up feeling after this ride Saturday night into the evening, I didn't think I was going to ride the Sunday after this ride. But because of the festive 500, I was on all kinds of cocktails of different potions and lotions to get this fever and ear infection under control somewhat. Every time I would move, it would hurt. So I ended up taking ibuprofen to dull the pain because every heartbeat hurt. But once I was on the bike on Sunday, I was fine. Got off the bike, I felt crappy. It was really weird. I guess on the bike I don't have to feel the pounding or anything. The walking was a pain. We'll talk about the stats you're looking at. The cyclist over there, you can see the speed below the image, and then above it you've got the grade, and then what tells you grade
Look at
minus
Frankie.
0.
Look like he's in a Cadillac.
Paul won't leave Frankie alone about the
Bring
fit.
it on.
20 centimeters is more than me.
Ah.
So it's 128 meters is where our elevation. So it's got elevation. It's got the direction we're going. Like I used to have a course. It says north, then northwest is to the left, and it lets you know we're going north, northwest because you can see both in the circle above the cyclist. And I thought that was just a very good graphic. And where you see it says 349 degrees. That lets you know from a course standpoint where you're going. And I thought, wow, nicely, it's just concise in there. It's nice and graphical. It's not all over the place. So I thought, oh, I'll use that instead of the old one. So the new upgrade to the software has some
Is
nice
that going to
features.
be Wednesday afternoon, man?
He's asking me about a guy that's coming to do a
Okay.
fit from out of
Forgot
town.
what you said.
I told him the guy was coming on Wednesday. Got a guy coming from a nearby
Yeah.
state to get his fit done. So you see it's got cadence, and I thought it was kind of neat that it showed a little pedal, the crank set and the pedal there with the cadence. And then it's got temperature and heart rate together, and then it displays them graphically. I thought that's kind of nice. So I replaced the other overlay with these guys, and then on the top 3 at the top, you've got the date, then the time, and then you've got the duration of the ride. And then I put the course map at the bottom, and the dot says where we are on the course. So they made some nice improvements to the software. I was forced to upgrade because I upgraded my machine to Mac OS High Sierra, and and it did not work with the older version of Verb Edit.
My favorites.
Okay.
That's what the phone lets you do. So all the solicitation calls,
Yeah.
I don't even get them.
I hear you.
I told them to not disturb. Yeah, I said, all these people can get it.
Oh, okay. That's
It's
good.
all there. You said all my favorites. So whoever you put on your favorites list, they get it.
Yeah.
We're discussing the new wave of solicitation calls that are hitting phones, around the holidays and stuff. Everybody's selling stuff. And I was telling Paul how I deal with them by using my favorites list and use Do Not Disturb, and only allow my contacts to get through. So right here, I roll to the front. Too cold for us to sit around messing around, so we're just rolling.
I go after 6 o'clock. He said he's riding with a group, and the group is only doing, the group is averaging 20 miles an hour. And it's too easy.
Who said this?
Some guy named Hector.
Oh.
So I told him, go to the front, sit there.
Yep.
You see how easy it is, dude? And he said, oh, thank you. He said, I said, how to do that? I'll get a faster boot.
We're talking about a super legend,
Averaging 20
Hector
miles an hour.
Tedos Graticos, and his group that he said was a little slow because it was sitting in the draft. We're just comparing it to what happens when we're riding, how it feels when you're behind versus in the front.
I know. Yep. You tend to live it off. Yeah. Man, the mudguards fit on this bike better than they did on my other bike, man. Yeah. Man, it took me max 15 minutes. Put that sucker on, forget about it.
We both have mud guards on our bikes
Yeah.
because the rain is forecasted for today. They're not specific, but there's a good chance. We didn't get rained on, but it rained later, and so I just put them on. Since we're going to get rain in the middle of the week. So Paul was saying that the mud guards fit his Scatante bike better than the Cervelo bike better than the Scatante. The Scatante has a lot of curves and it's a fancy Italian carbon bike, and it just has a lot of different curvatures that interfere with the thing sitting really well. So he's riding the Cervelo because he broke the seat post on the Scatante last week, and so he's just got the replacement. I think it came actually at the end of this ride later in the day. Yeah. So I'm still getting acclimated to the new display. But if you look at the cyclist, you see the speed that we're traveling currently right below him. And then you see the distance, 4.1 kilometers that we've covered.
Oh yeah, same here.
I'm not sure what we're talking about here at this point, but that Paul is saying same here about. Well, we're traveling at 225 per kilometer. That's the pace. And of course, below it, you got the temperature. You notice the temperature has gone down to 3C. I'm in zone 1, 132 beats per minute. And we're just really rolling out 14 minutes into the ride. The top right circle has the duration, and the two left top circles is the date and the time, the current time. So it's really neatly packaged the way they have all those pieces of information in that circle. And you can see my cadence is up. So Right now it's saying that we're traveling southwesterly, 217 degrees. It's a lot easier to read. That's a very good position for that cyclist in the graphic there. He's well fitted to his bicycle. He's spinning a lot faster than I am. I pull out at this point and wave Frankie through.
How stable he is.
And I wanted Paul to get some shots of Frankie. I want you guys to pay attention to just how stable Frankie looks on the bike. And it's just 3 centimeters, which is significant. That's about a shoe size and a bit. Everybody's too enamored with high saddles. I don't know who started that trend. I think it's the pros that use very small frames. And those guys are not spending money on those frames. They use them for one season and give them away or whatever. They don't keep those bikes. They're just not good handling machines. The top guys don't ride crazy frame dimensions. They ride what fits. All the top cyclists, Merckx, Anquetil, Buñuel, Argentine, Bartoli, Fondriest, all of them look great on their bikes because it fit them well. Especially Michele Bartoli. He looked like he was born to ride a bicycle. And of course, let's not forget Greg LeMond. So at this point, we're about to roll right in a bit. We're going to be turning right here. And I'm just letting Frankie ride at the front to kind of set his own pace. Since the Rafa Festive 500 starts tomorrow, the day after this ride, this is a Saturday ride, we really was just kind of trying to do an abbreviated Saturday ride for us, which probably ended up being like 3 hours again. But we basically dropped the intensity. That was the plan anyway. Showing Paul how the rocking has been eliminated on Frankie. And the other thing I noticed, Frankie wasn't scooting around anymore. Because that saddle is as level as we were able to get it with the limitation of that part that he has. The 1/10 of a degree or so below level, which is nothing significant. Hear the wind. I mean, we're going into the wind. That thing's blowing. Put on my shades here. If you look at me in this picture here, I have no weight on the bars. My weight are on my feet. My hands are just guarding the bars when I stand. Since I was just standing the stretch, I really wasn't even pulling on the bars. I just have my finger under the brake caliper to kind of brace. Here I stand again. Look at my outside fingers how they just hang freely. There's no weight on the bars. That's the way your bike should be rocking when you stand. The bike does its own thing. You're just taking the bike for a walk. I just stood up to get some kind of a tempo into this wind. I wasn't sure how my body would feel with the ear infection and everything I'm dealing with. But once I got out there, I felt okay. Since we're expecting rain and it's still dry, I figure we might as well make the most out of this. The tights I'm wearing are made by Rafa. Those are the Rafa Protein tights with pad. And that's the Rafa Brevet jersey, black one. I think it's really cool. I'm using my Giro helmet and my Rafa cap. I like that cap because it covers your ears as well. With that ear infection, I didn't want the wind bothering it. I got a cotton bud in there with the ear drops and it's covered. And I think I've got my winter collar, the Rafa winter collar. I get their technical pieces when it's on sale because they make them so well, and it's those little pieces that make a difference. My gloves are doubled up. I've got a Rafa liner in there, and I've got those protein gloves on. So I got 2 layers. Listen to that wind. Whenever you're going into a headwind for a very long time, it is best to treat it as a mountain climb. Get a rhythm and work on building your strength and put out a steady effort, either a mountain climb or a time trial pace, whatever you want to call it. Because time trialing up a mountain is a good enough pace to either lead most other riders or catch up to other riders. You hear a lot of guys in the tour like Dumoulin and other guys when they say they're in trouble and they say I just decided to hold a time trial pace in the mountains, because you ride at red line, you don't go over, so you know you can sustain it for a period of time, however, based on your conditioning. It's the same thing in the wind. Don't overexert yourself. Get into a rhythm. I try to keep my cadence between 75, 85, something like that, and just get a tempo and just go. Because the wind is not going to let up until you turn around. So it takes your mind off the fact that you're dealing with the wind. You get a rhythm. So here I pulled to the side. The wind here lessens a little bit and we're going downhill. I think I slipped back behind Frankie. I wanted Paul to get more shots of Frankie, so I stayed a little to the left here, so he could still see Frankie. And then Frankie goes and starts picking up the pace. And you look, I did not shift. My cadence just went up. Look at my cadence, 120. So basically, I'm expending more energy in the same gear by increasing my cadence, but I'm stressing my aerobic system. And we're above 40 kilometers an hour, and we're going slightly downhill, but really into the wind. Wind's coming from our left and in our face, I think. Or is it behind us? Hard to say. It might be a northwesterly wind. So we might have it slightly from behind us. I'm letting him know we turn to left. That driver was there, but he waited for us, so we just went ahead and took the turn. So here Frankie lets up on the power. I just continue to roll through. My engine is, once I get it up and going, I don't want to go back down. Let's just go.
Frankie's turn of speed.
Yeah.
So I was telling Paul, did you see Frankie's turn of speed?
That's the same distance.
At this point, we see a car back. He decides to pass really at a bad time. And this other car was coming the opposite way on a double yellow line. If he waited 2 seconds, his life would end, I guess. Anyway. At this point, I'm in zone 2. We're into the ride. We've been riding for almost 30 minutes. It says 27:48 at the top. And it's 3C. The temperature just stayed there. It just stayed cold on this ride. We've covered about 10 kilometers. Look at the circle with all the stats with that cyclist and the speed. The left white graphic represents the cadence. As the cadence goes up, it goes up. The right is like the grade or the elevation. So it's going to stay fairly stable because right now we started at 129, we're at 131. So even though it's going up, it's not going to go up much more than that. I like how they do the direction where right now we're going east. We were going north, and now we're going more east. And you can see how the balance in the northeast and the east. And look at the northeast is coming back to the middle. That means we're heading more northeast now than east. I love how that works. So it's easier to determine our direction. You don't have to know what 47 degrees at the top or 48 degrees relate to. I just like what they did with that. They have a lot of other measures and meters you can use, but they all look like automobile graphs and graphics. I wanted something that was specific for bicycles, and that's why I picked these. Like for the cadence, they've got the chain set and a pedal. And I thought that's perfect. I didn't want to put anything that looked like from an automobile. So this area is usually pretty tight for cars coming by, so once I come through here, I don't like to goof off. It goes slightly downhill. You can see the grade says, I think it says -0, but it's really flat. Right here, it's flat. I lifted the speed just a little. Get us through here, and I position myself so that whatever automobiles comes by can wait. Yeah, I heard Paul say car bark. I didn't move. So once we get through this section here, it gets smaller again. So whoever it is back there, I think he's waiting because I did not move, because this is the only area they can pass safely here. And once we get into here, it narrows. So I make sure I position myself to where they don't even try to pass. That's riding offensively, put it that way, to help them make decisions. So whoever it was, he was very patient. So through here now we got 2 lanes, and so we use the right lane, and he eventually comes by in the left lane. This was a very quiet morning. Hear that wind, we felt it, and that's why the ride felt cold. The whole ride never felt like it warmed up. I just stand here to keep the gear rolling. This is a slight incline. Numbers look kind of funky back there when we're coming. That was odd. I think I saw -11 when we're going up. I'm not sure. Keep my eye on it. About new software, they bring new features. They don't test them very well. So was not -11 where it was a 1% grade. We sit here on the outside lane here. It's not really a lane because when we turn, I wave there's a car in the lane, I wave it by. When we turn, we stay to the outside of the lane anyway, so they can use the inside. Just we're not really going that quickly. So Frankie rolls to the front here from the intersection. This road is going slightly up and into the wind. We're headed north. And the wind is blowing from the northwest this morning. I'm in like a 53.19 or 53.23, something like that. And just getting a rhythm into this wind. I prefer to go steady when I'm going into the wind, unless the impetus is on and we're on the rivet, then I increase my cadence. At this point, I don't really want to change my rhythm. So Frankie starts to slow down for this bumpy section here. And I just want to keep my rhythm. So I stand up. And it just really feels good to remain standing here. You can see my cadence is 65 RPM. I think I shifted up maybe a cog or two. And I'm just holding. Paul told him to put it in a bigger gear and push harder. I wasn't really going that hard. So he's getting closer there. But I basically just felt better standing at a slower cadence and trying to sit at this moment for some reason. I was feeling better than I thought I would with all the issues that I'm dealing with. By being in a larger gear, I can carry almost 20 miles an hour at 66 RPM. So I might be in a 17 or a 16 on the big chain, 16 in the back, or something like that. Middle of the cogs in the back. And the road is starting to go up here. It hasn't really registered, but it's not -0 as it says over there. About 1 degree by now. I'm still maintaining in the 60s, and I'm using a lot of force here because it's biting. Yeah, it says 2%. I was getting worried about that new graphic, and it goes to 1%. Okay, at least it's working. And I started to pull away without really trying. I'm just putting strength into the pedal. Oh, Paul's telling him to let it hurt. It seems like when Frankie's leg starts hurting, he looks for easier gears. You gotta power through that sucker. You gotta get it over with. These are short little climbs. I'm not really going I'm not going that hard. You know, I'm like bottom of zone 4. That's what Paul was telling him, let it hurt. You gotta feel the burn. We'll get him there. Build that engine. That's all we gotta do. So when I looked back and saw that Frankie was off the pace, I was a bit surprised because I really wasn't going that hard. Right here, the power is off. We're coming to an intersection. I let the boys know as we're turning here. And since I'm the lead rider, I check for traffic. It's an unprotected turn right now. So it's clear.
Come on, Frankie.
And then Paul's hurrying up Frankie. So this is what I talk about all the time. The energy that Frankie took to do 42, 43 kilometers an hour earlier. Now he's paying the price over here on that little climb. He couldn't put force into the pedals. So the human body has a finite amount of energy. You have to measure your effort so that you last the distance for whatever event you're doing. That's what matters. So we decide to avoid the Flint Ridge Hills and show Frankie a slightly different way in this area that we usually frequent. So we're going to turn right here and head kind of northeast. More north than east right now. Lower my nose because this cold air. So we got a hiatus in the pace at this point.
Yeah.
I'm explaining to Paul the detour.
Yeah.
We're going to change the route a little bit.
Yeah.
So the other day we were weighing my bikes in the studio, and the Colnago came in at a whopping 20 pounds with my training wheels on it. And the orange bike was 17.
Yeah.
And the blue bike is 18 pounds. I'd never really paid that much attention to the weights because they all have different feels. But the Colnago did not feel like it was that much heavier when I'm riding it anyway. But the wheels do make a difference. I run regular aluminum wheels on it. And then I have a steel fork on the Colnago. So there are ways you can lighten it, but I don't need to. I like it in its original form.
Yeah.
As we go up this climb, for some reason we got food on our mind. We're talking about how you prepare oatmeal.
I have to have honey with my
Paul
oatmeal.
says you have to have honey in
I
his
put a
oatmeal.
drop in there, man.
I went in to get my oatmeal done. I was going to put honey in my tea, my hot cocoa, and there's no honey in the house. It's being used up and nobody put it on the list. So we're talking about that. Because that honey will soothe your throat on a cold morning if you got a bit of a sore throat, which I had. So this is a gradual drag here. I don't know, what does it register? It's saying 0. It's probably less than 1%, but it's not flat. You can even see it. I'm in a big gear, just kind of rolling it. You know. Not huge, probably 19 or 17 or something like that.
follow up with me on the 27th. I told them I've already seen another doctor. No need.
Good for you.
Please disregard.
Good for you. Like, you know, you got a problem. They're gonna wait 2 months. You could be dead.
Doctor, they're like, I said, yeah, that's exactly what I told them. You're lucky that you are talking to me. I'm still alive.
Exactly. Thanks to the other doctor.
Make sure you pass that news to him.
Exactly. Good. Good for you.
Paul's talking about when he had a bronchial infection at the Heroes Ride, and he tried to see his regular doctor, and he wanted him to wait 2 months. And so he saw somebody else, and that's what he's saying. They finally decided to follow up. This is late December, so he told him, "You're lucky you're talking to me. I'm still alive."
Oh yeah. You know, I wasn't holding back. Thank God I'm still alive. Make sure you pass the news to him. But I've seen someone else disregard.
Yeah, it's the holidays now. Business is slow. So now they want to call him and say follow up.
Yeah.
Somebody has a problem, an illness, you tell them to wait 2 months. If somebody has an issue, they don't have 2 months. It's not a cosmetic surgery. Even that, those people don't wait that long. They go in. Please. Paul fired that doctor and moved on.
Yeah. Yeah, lawyers.
Get better service than that in the emergency room. What the hell you need a doctor for?
Yeah.
Wait 2 months for a bronchial infection? Really? What if it was something more than that? Oh, it could get worse. Which it can.
Yeah.
You gotta follow what I say.
Serious.
No questions asked.
Any illness is serious.
When I take my car to the shop, I ask questions about it.
Yep.
What about my body? I didn't even know that you know just because you passed medical school, you put them in C.
Yeah. What is that to me?
Now G is faster. Used to be C when I was
Yeah, you're right.
They get upset when you question.
There's a lot of average doctors out there. You got to really sift through the rubble to find a good one. You're probably better off with a vet.
That's right.
That patients don't even need to tell them anything. They figure it out. Yeah, we turned over here and we're headed west. And we're just really having a conversation. It's kind of a hiatus of the ride before we ramp it up again. Every ride has these moments. That's when you kind of get something to eat, get something to drink, gather yourself, and make sure you're ready. It's an opportunity to catch up, look around you, see what's been going on. So we're just Frankie and I just talking here, kind of giving them the lay of the land. We took a different route, and I just explained where we are. Like when we come to this intersection, explain to them that this is where we would normally just be coming, where that van is on the left. We would have been there going straight up.
All right. Okay.
Let's climb back. Go for it.
So we're heading south here towards Tomball, Texas area. And we're taking a shortcut off of 2978. We use the main highways to get us to more quiet roads. We don't spend any more time on them than we need to because it's just kind of boring. They're not that interesting. Most of them are not challenging, you know, because the state always degrades those roads to keep the grades down wherever possible. And some of them are not, but you find more challenging routes and more scenic routes on the back roads, secondary roads. So this is the Huffsmill-Corville Road. I'm working with the gimbal here, so Paul's looking back to see what's going on with me, but I'm just kind of getting it situated. Yeah, I was just watching the little nuances of the gimbal. when you change the position of the gimbal adjusts the horizon accordingly. So if you're holding it up, it tilts a little down. If you're holding it down, it tilts a little up. It was just nice to see that in action when you place it next to the brake hoods. And so it's just been a nice addition where you can just put the camera somewhere and forget it, and it pans on its own somewhat, but it just keeps the picture so steady. So I'm just fiddling with that here. We're not going that hard. We're doing about 31 kilometers an hour, and the wind is behind us because we're going south, and the wind is blowing northwesterly today. Get to this turn circle here, and Frankie's not sure which way to go. Paul told him straight, he went to the right. I guess he didn't hear it, so he came back and corrected there. Because that would just take us right back to the highway earlier than we need to. This road runs parallel to the highway we just got off of. And these are every area has roads like these that you can just find, and you can do your workout. Any time of the week you come here, this road's quiet. You come out here, perfect to do your intervals or whatever. Because going north on this road, it's a nice grade.
Oh, I'm fine.
Let's tell Paul I'm fine, don't worry about me. Just so he knows I've got an earache.
There's the wind behind us now, so it's warmer because the wind's behind us.
I was just telling Paul it's warmer because the wind's behind us now, so it's kind of nice. We're not dealing with that cold north wind anymore.
On the bars, it raises the camera a little bit.
Yeah.
I was sharing my experience of the gimbal with Paul. We come back to 2978. The highway we had left about probably 3 or 4 miles up the road to take that bypass.
I feel like I have an earache in this ear because of that headphone. Let's go.
That's one of the few highways in our area here where when the shoulder here is all torn up for about maybe a few yards. So I just stayed on the road. Frankie hates that stuff. He said it. I said, well, just use the road. So I stayed on the road because it wasn't that busy. So right here, I moved back to the shoulder. Nice, smooth again. And I just remained standing. I think I'm sitting here. I got the camera facing. I'm not sure why Frankie fell so far back in just that stretch. But later on he tells us, I don't like those bumps. I'm like, okay. I think he just took them a lot softer than we did. But I basically used the edge of the white line, which is smooth. We got the wind behind us. We're rolling. I didn't realize he was that far back at this point. I just had the camera facing the rear.
A lot of glass up here.
Yeah, people throw glass bottles out of their cars, you know. Supposedly you're not supposed to drink and drive.
We need to fix that.
Because, you know, nobody's walking and throwing bottles. It's bad enough that drinking in their vehicles but then throwing the trash where they live. It's a complete disregard. So Paul and I switched cameras here. He's filming back now. Frankie lost a lot of ground. I'm not sure what he was doing back there. So I speed up the film here because he was back there for quite a while.
Yeah.
Said he hates the bumps. You just have to unload your bike, let him bounce over those bumps. My wife was very shocked that I was able to ride with the ear infection day after day. And I just told her, I said, I was paying attention to how things felt. Other than the throbbing pain every time my heart would beat, I was okay. I didn't have any issues with my balance or anything, so whatever part of the ear controls your balance was not affected. I'm still dealing with it now, but I don't need any painkillers anymore. Even though there's a dull ache there, it's not as acute as it was. And the funny thing, it was actually more acute than the pain you get from a workout. Anyhow, we get to this overpass. We got the wind behind us. I'm just in whatever gear I was in, I just stayed in it. Now right here, I want you guys to watch Frankie's upper body rocking. See that? That kind of rocking is he's searching for power. He doesn't have the power in his legs to carry that gear. And he's looking for more power. And so he's trying to get his upper body recruited like you would when you were standing. Frankie rode that well. He wasn't shifting around looking for gears. His gear selection was better on this climb. Adjustment of the gimbal right there. When Paul came around that corner, he must have hit a bump, threw it a little out of whack, and it looked like it just gradually came down, unless he manually did it. But it was so smooth. I believe the gimbal adjusted. So I turned right to go around this red light. There's nothing coming. Not like you do a U-turn and then go. What I did and what Paul did is a legal move. You can turn right, do a U-turn, and then come with the green from the other side. What Frankie did is not legal. Frankie would have none of that. He just rolled. So, you can see the flags on the right over there. That's where the wind's coming from. North and then westerly. That's why it's blowing towards us, flipping towards our direction. Got 4C and wind is cooler than 4C. The roads were much quieter this weekend, of course, with the holiday and everything. turn on Zion Road. This is another road that's very deceiving. It has a continuous grade that's slight enough to where it doesn't register much, but you feel it in your legs. So the wind is currently coming from our right and in our face. So it's hard. So I get a drink here. So I'm getting ready to give Frankie a break. He's been sitting up there for a while. Right here, I go ahead and just move past them because the wind's coming from the right, so I need to pass them on the side without the wind, which is what I did. And he just slips in behind me because we're going into a headwind and we got a crosswind coming from the right. Listen to that wind, and that's muffled. The camera has a electronic wind reduction built in. That's why I have my ears covered. The whole ride I did not uncover my ears. It didn't warm up much anyway. That thing is just in our face. I got in the drops at this point. For some reason, that slight change in position, it's like you're starting fresh. That's the way I feel anyway when I do that. From the tops to the drops, like I'm just starting. Now I'll go back to the tops. This is a slight, what we call a false flat, slight grade, 0.6, 0.7. So it doesn't register because this thing picks up integers. Until it gets to 1, it doesn't show up. But you feel it in your legs. I like these kind of roads because you always have to work. We're approaching this stop sign, so I start looking to see if there's anything there, any cars coming. It's clear. I let them know because I don't want to break my rhythm. Now the grade is even more intense here. After those tracks, it kicks in. You can even look at the road the way the gimbal has it framed. You can see that slight grade. It goes up and then it goes to the left. And you really have to dig here. And I never shift when I come here. I don't care how low my cadence gets. I just power. something I do on this road. The gear I'm in, I can handle it. So 74, 75, that's pretty reasonable. And I think somewhere here I start pulling away from Frankie. It's getting harder and harder. We're going into the wind. It's a grade. We've been doing this for several miles. And he's doing his best, but he's just gonna have to get the miles in to get that leg straight. So he rolls back up to me, pointing out an obstacle there. Keeping a relatively smooth tempo, not attacking or anything. So there's different kinds of riding, and this is like a grinding kind of thing. You see the gap opening again. I'm just riding the same tempo, and so Paul comes around Frankie here, so Paul sees the gap, and it's encouraging him. Then I look back and see that they're gapped, and turn off the power a bit, just soft pedal, because we're still going up this grade. You can see my cadence went down close to, it's like 70. I'm just soft pedaling every other stroke. Blowing my nose before they get close to me, because it's cold and windy. So Frankie just needs more strength. He needs to build up leg strength, muscular endurance. That's what he needs to work on. That will get him over these climbs. Because going fast for a short time or a short distance is okay, but you need to be able to go fast or go hard for a good while.
That's the killer.
I told Paul, I said, we're going into the wind and this grade. He said, that's the killer. I like to explain these things. From the time I met Paul, I would always explain stuff because it helps understand how to ride in different situations. It's the timing in cycling that matters. You can be in good shape and still get dropped if you're not paying attention. So right here with soft pedaling, waiting for Frankie to ride back up to us. The grade has lessened. You can see it says -1, so we're going slightly downhill. I'm in the same gear and just spinning it in the 80s. I never turned on my lights today because it's sunny.
Good job, Frankie.
So Frankie is back. He got on his bars and got back. Cycling is a sport of moments. It's that one moment that you have a misstep, you end up chasing or riding along. So at this intersection, I take off easily and smoothly. I even jumped the little lip over there. And I noticed that Frankie was having trouble just clipping in. And I don't know if you guys, those of you who saw his fit, he was pressing hard on the cleat. And so I suspected that his pedal tension is too high.
You sure your pedals are not too tight? You know when they come from the factory? Yeah, they're tight. I always have to loosen mine. All I have to loosen is because you're putting a lot of force. You should. Look, when I clip in, look, Frankie. This is it. Okay? You shouldn't have to. I don't know if I have a 3 mil on this tool. But yeah.
I checked my tool, man. I have a 2.5 for this. Yeah, so it worked perfectly.
You won't need it once you set it up. You won't need it that often, but it's good to have.
But yeah, I was just glad that I didn't have to carry another tool.
Yeah, it's so small.
What
Yeah.
Paul is talking about is we were discussing his tool that's in his patch kit, his multi-tool. And I told him most of them don't come with a 2.5, and he happens to have one that has a 2.5. It actually ended up being a fortunate thing for Frankie because we were able to use it. In a little bit, you'll see we use it to adjust his pedal tension. I think that's what I'm mentioning. We're talking about where we're going to stop because we don't need to stop at a store. It's so cold, our bottles are still full. We really didn't drink that much. That's the thing about it being very cold. You end up peeing more than drinking. So if you drink too much, you end up stopping to pee more frequently. So the plan is to go ride the park and then stop and use the restroom in the park
I
because
love
they have a
this
really
part,
nice
man. If I
restroom.
can put a bed here instead.
Paul said he liked this park, that little shortcut to the park. He loves the park. I told him I don't think his wife would be happy with him wanting to put a tent out there to stay, like he said. That's what he was laughing at. So right there, Frankie's gear is a little big for him. It's a downshift. Dog wearing a sweater. A lab. Brown lab wearing a sweater.
I had a chocolate love just like that called the Charlie Brown. Yeah, I had to put him down. He got too old. Too old. When? Man, I fed him the blue fruit. His coat was so shiny, man. If he stand in the sun, but when he got all gray, man. I was like, Charlie, what happened to you, man?
There's a 5% climb before we get to the store. The store is on the left after that. I'm just carrying the same gear. Low cadence, just in a big gear, just rolling it. Trying to give Frankie a carrot so he can stay with coaching him on. I moved in front of him so those cars could pass. I'm staying next to him. Telling him the hill's not over yet. You gotta still push.
Yep. It's all on the legs. It's all on the
Moved away,
legs.
another car was coming.
Push down, pull up. Amazing stuff happens.
There are specific workouts that build your leg strength for carrying a reasonable sized gear up a climb. You know, muscular strength endurance workouts will really get you ready for that.
Yep.
You use moderate heart rates, but you hit the muscular system hard.
Keep it turning. We got like this out there.
So we make a right turn to enter Spring Creek Park. And the plan is to really just ride this park together because we've got the Rafa Festive 500 starting the day after this ride. And we plan on doing a long ride. So this was supposed to be just a steady to easy to steady ride. We didn't do too many hard efforts. Really. I'm talking to Frankie about, you know, searching for gears and just find a gear and ride the hill. Find a gear, get in the middle, and then you shift one or two up or down. Find something you think you can handle so you're not searching. Because once the hill begins, if you start searching, you lose your momentum.
Unless you really get bogged down, you don't bother. Just finish the hill. There you go.
Yeah.
Stand if you have to. Finish it short. Power. I mean, a monster gear. I can ride it. Short.
Yeah.
Break the leg. But I keep the leg turning.
Yeah, I'm telling him to keep turning his legs so that the lactate that he developed going up the climb is processed out of his muscles. Heading to the steeper section in the back. There's a cul-de-sac down there. I'm talking about that stop sign over there that we just passed. There was a blue sign below it that says, "Lock your cars and take your keys." That's what Paul's laughing. I said, they got to tell people that? Wow.
Take the keys, man.
Lock your cars and take your keys. Really? Just park your car and leave it open?
Yeah, man.
A lot of hand holding going on. I was like, they gotta tell you to lock your cars and take your keys. You got issues. This is a public park. You know, being at the house, you park your car outside, you lock it and take your keys. I started to laugh when I saw the sign. And you know something's happened. That's why they posted it there. They think the rangers or park rangers are watching their cars for them. It's your responsibility. You park at your own risk. Lock that bad boy. Hide your valuables. Better yet, leave them at home. Give them no reason to want to enter your car. Where we approach this steep cul-de-sac back here. I take the dirt track, keep my momentum. You guys can see how Frankie navigated that nicely. He didn't go over the bump.
Yeah.
So he didn't lose his momentum. I'm just nursing whatever gear I'm in. Stay with it.
Just one building.
My cadence is lower than I normally climb at, even out of the saddle. I'm really just keeping an eye on Frankie. Get him to build his leg strength.
Yep.
twice the cadence you see there. 43. That's slow.
Still going. Grr.
Yeah, we're laughing about that curve sign over there. Where I grew up, you'll figure it out when the road turns whether it curves or not. If you need a sign to tell you the road curves, you keep going straight. That's funny. The little driving aids. So we'll roll through the park at a leisurely pace on the climb. And basically I'm trying to get Frankie to learn these climbs. And that's how you learn the climbs. You ride them at a lower intensity and learn where they dig in, where they relent, and so forth. And you get to know them. When the pros do reconnaissance of climbs, they don't kill themselves, they don't go full gas. They just ride the climbs to learn what this climb does. Where are the pitches? Where can I launch an attack? Where the action is likely going to happen? The things you look for. I'm explaining to him that this part of this climb here, although it's a lower percentage than what we just rode, it goes on longer. So you have to start in a gear that's a little lower than you think you need. And as you ride the climb, see whether you're going to need something higher or lower. So you don't spend yourself too early. Because you never want to be blown on a climb. You lose a lot of time. Climbing into a wind, you lose a lot of time when you over-rev yourself. So I'm letting you know that right here it lets up a little bit, but like I don't shift. I continue to pedal the same gear because I know right before that black truck, it's gonna go back up again. I hope it registers, but right here it starts to go back up again. So if you had shifted down, you gotta shift again. Yeah, it's at 1%. So you're climbing all the way here, well through, there are a couple of pylons they put down there. I was explaining to him that now that his position is right, he can start spinning instead of shifting. Spin when it's easy, and power it when you need to, within reason. And after this stop sign here, we forget that we had planned to stop at the restroom, and Paul reminds us before we miss the last turn.
Don't forget the restroom.
The park has one of the cleanest restrooms in the area. And it's big, it's like a little house. So we stop here, we use this opportunity to use the restroom, and then we come back and we adjust Frankie's shoes, his cleats.
And I kept telling her, here come a contraction, here come a contraction. And she goes, oh my God, don't remind me. So that's how I feel about the
Don't turn it off yet. What I want to do is
I'm trying to find a spot for the removal. And I just put it between the fence there, the picket fence for that garbage
feel
stand.
about the heels. Don't remind me.
no, man. The thing I'm trying to show you is it's all about rhythm.
Yeah.
If you're running and you got to keep changing your rhythm in a road race on the road,
Yeah.
you will freak your body out. Find a rhythm for you. Don't worry about the other people. On a long climb, you will catch them because they don't know what they're doing. Find a rhythm that you know you can handle.
I was talking to Frankie about climbing and how he needs to find his own rhythm and not try to keep up with everybody. Until you get comfortable with a climb and know what you can do with it, you got to do your own thing. Don't worry about the other people. Your goal should be just to finish the climb. Once you learn what your body can produce on that climb, then you can start doing other things. That's what we're talking about. So right there, Paul and I looking at, details on when you lean your bike, you want to make sure 2 parts of it is touching something, the bars and the tires, preferably, or even the saddle. So if something bumps it, you got 2 things to anchor your bike. I hate for my bike to fall because something always gets out of whack, or you might break something. So those are the little details we focus on.
I just want the guys to see, make sure the pedal.
So here we go ahead and use the restroom,
Yeah,
and then
2.5.
once we get out of the
So what I'm doing,
restroom,
Frankie, I'm gonna
go
loosen
ahead
it
and
all
get
the way.
ready and
You hear the clicking?
start working
Alright,
on
stop.
Frankie's pedal tension. Paul has a tool, a multi-tool,
click, 2,
and it has
3.
a 2.5, which is what the Shimano
Shimano
pedal
sends
he
the stuff
has
too tight.
requires.
We'll do the same thing here. Yeah, yeah, good, Paul. I'm gonna go all the way completely loose. That's what we did. There you go. 1 click, 2, 3. You'll notice the difference. Your foot is not gonna come out anymore. It's not the tightness of that keeps you in. It's whether you keep your foot straight or tilt. When you tilt to come out. That's it. Thank you, my brother. Ah, man, it's cold. Here you go. It's cold.
It's cold today.
Yeah, it's cold. I don't know what kind of cold it is, but it's cold.
Yeah, we leave the park and we head home on my favorite road, FM 2920, eastbound towards Northampton. I'm messing with the camera here, just lining everything up. I plan to do a relay once I get to the front. So I'll roll up here to the boys. And we're moving. We've got a westerly wind behind us. And it's a cross tailwind situation. So the crosswind is from our left, from the north. And the tailwind is from our back, of course, from the west. We're headed east. There's something about this road when we get on it, we don't ride casually. We just go ahead and go. Especially with that wind blowing from the north. It just stayed cold the whole day. It didn't warm up much. We're supposed to get up to like 10 or 11 C. I think right now it says 9 C, but it feels colder than 9 C. It feels more like 4 C to me anyway. It's cold. The ball is pulling at the front. Frankie's in the draft.
Yeah, we got you.
I'm sitting off to the side because that's where the best draft is. That negates that cross wind thing. I'm not in the perfect draft, but I don't need to be. Trying to get a good shot. Ideally, I would be about maybe a foot closer. But I'm making all my adjustments for debris to the right, because every time I do that, I get a pocket. It's like a little shelter. And right here, I move up on Frankie's head a little bit. And that's where the draft is. Even though we got a tailwind, the wind from the north is stiff. It's stronger than the little tailwind we have. So we really was fighting. You can hear the wind. It never let up the whole day. One of those days. Ball pulls off, Frankie takes over.
I don't know if it's still on. Just hang on to it. On.
I hand out the camera to Paul. I roll up to Frankie's wheel. Our focus right here is to stay low, save energy, so that when I get to the front, I can stay up there longer and get us home. I've had enough of this cold weather this morning. Once we're rolling here, my body warmed up, felt good. right because the wind's blowing from the left. The crosswind is stronger than our tailwind. I'm trying to get a feel for whether Frankie's getting tired or whatever. I don't want him sitting up there too long. Save his energy so he can get back in and draft. So you can see I just roll past. I can feel his speed drifting. He leaves a gap, so I think Paul is coming around. Didn't know there was a gap. I was pointing out the flags to them and how stiff it is from the north breeze. There's flags on the side of the river. That's why I pulled through. I didn't want Frankie staying up there too long, and then when I come through, then he wouldn't be able to stay on the wheels. So around here, the road starts to go up. There's a slight grade as we approach. There's a bridge up here, and then an intersection, a road called Dowdale Road. This is Willow Creek we're going over, one of our flood zones. And at this light, there's a slight grade. I don't know if it registers or not, but you feel it in the legs. The topography of this road, it never feels flat. You can see as my cadence drops, the white bar on the left of the cyclist comes down a little bit. You can see it dropping. I'm at 0. The white bar is coming down. When I stop completely, the white bar is gone. So that's a graphical representation of the RPM on that circle. That's really cool. Like that. So after we go through this intersection, it's a street called Inverness. We got a couple of geniuses that I guess are late for the mall. So we're headed up towards, there's another intersection about probably a mile and a half down the road, 2 kilometers up. And they see us and they want to beat us to the corner. One of them makes it okay, which is just pretty stupid any way you look at it. And then the other one does not get there timely enough. See that in a little bit. I actually did a freeze frame. They're always in a hurry and they make stupid mistakes. Consider themselves licensed drivers. So here, genius number 1. He comes in, he speeds up and gets maybe a car length and a half and takes the corner, and here's genius number 2. I'm looking at him the whole time. So I actually move over to the white line and I yell at him. And then he stops. And Paul yells at him too. You see here I froze it again. He was actually about to turn. Idiot.
Idiot!
Paul called him an idiot. I mean, just stupid. What exactly, where's the fire? I mean, you come from behind us, behind 3 riders to come and cut right in front of them. I had my arm out waving at him and I yelled at him and then he stopped. Moron. Like, how exactly do you not see us? So we resume. We get through the intersection, we resume. I'm just kind of soft pedaling, waiting till the balls get on my wheel. But that stuff happens frequently. These drivers, the average driver is just too rude. A lot of the time they're not paying attention. Just they do that to other cars too. You can be driving your car in the right lane, it'll cut you off just to turn into a gas station or something. Then they get into a fight over it. Just stupid. Instead of getting behind you. We get that a lot in our area here in Houston. And they want to call it road rage. There's nothing wrong with a rage. The road doesn't have any rage. It's the idiots behind the wheel. You know, it's not the road. Oh, road rage. Please. Always come up with these stupid terms instead of dealing with the problems. You're licensing a bunch of morons just because they're 16 years old. They don't need any appreciable skill to operate a vehicle. Just a pulse. Anyway, back to cycling. Get off my soapbox. So we resume. And that's why you can't ride by the curb. You got to make sure you take your space when necessary. What he tried to do there was just simply stupid, but he saw us. There's no way you can say he didn't see us. Anyway, I dismissed it and continued riding until I saw it in the clips again. I pretty much just put it out of my mind. I like the way we handled it. We got his attention. So I checked for traffic. We're using the main lanes because this part of the pavement is chewed up. We'll roll back on the shoulder. And we're going into the wind has shifted. It's very stiff from the north. And that's what's hitting us here. So it's affecting our speed. There's a lot of debris on the road. These guys have accidents and they don't clean the roads properly. There's a lot of pieces of vehicles sitting on the shoulder. One thing about Houston police, if you have a minor fender bender, no one's hurt, you're on your own. And they'll tell you to go file the blue form wherever if you want to, or you can just exchange information and handle it with your insurance company. They do not go unless there is an ambulance sent. That means somebody's going to be charged for that ambulance trip. The city has gotten too big for these guys to respond to minor fender benders. They don't bother anymore. Because if you say somebody's hurt, they're sending the ambulance. If the ambulance gets there and nobody's hurt, you're going to pay that fine. Because the ambulance is expensive. Because that's when they show up. Minor fender benders, exchange information and move on. Learn how to drive better next time. And they have a law that if you have an accident, you need to get the cars out of the right of way. Get it off the road so you don't hold up everybody else. It's been a good policy because they're learning to drive better, because you act stupid, you're going to be sitting on the side of the road for a while. They had to do that. They just don't have the resources in a city of this size to keep running around because these yahoos are too impatient to be courteous to one another. Anyway, back to cycling. So we're wrapping up this ride and just trying to get out of this wind and get ready for the festive 500 starts after this ride. Once I get into a rhythm here, I just stay. I'm in the drops right there just to give my body a change per se, but my torso stays the same. And I don't know how I'm doing 35 kilometers an hour because that wind is pounding me. And you can see how Frankie is drafting. He's using all of the draft because that wind is blowing. That's why I'm staying close to the white line so they can have the shoulder to get the echelon. You see right here, Paul is cheating. Paul is in between Frankie and me in a way. So he does have a bit of a draft because it's almost like you're in between two riders. We're going to be slowing down soon, so I think that's why he's backing off. But that's a good spot. You can get in between two riders there. You'll have a decent draft for a little while unless the wind changes. But the ideal place is on the right side of Franklin. So I look for traffic. I move over. Somebody's in the left lane, wait for him. We're gonna turn and cut through the discount tire lot here, so we don't have to sit at that light on this busy highway. Paul tells us to go straight here. There's a Denny's over here. We're gonna cut through there. That gets us to that little street. It's a little bypass, pretty much winding down the ride. Cutting through a little subdivision here, take a more direct route home. So this is what we did on the 23rd of December, Saturday, the day before the Rafa Festive 500 started on Christmas Eve. Hope you guys got a chance to get some K's in. Sorry for the delay of getting this out this week, but with Christmas and everything, it was a little hectic around here. So after the ride, we continue to. This is a shortcut that gets us on quieter roads in a more direct route to the ride start as we wrap up the ride. And so we're kind of discussing things, how things went on the ride, and just talking about stuff in general as we roll back to the start. I like to use these little neighborhoods because a lot of times they're more, not only are they more direct, they're shielded from the wind. Like right here, we're moving. You know, even though the wind's coming from the north, we're not feeling it that much like when we're on 2920 because all these houses. You can see me up there. I'm just kind of rolling away. Just going. We're not really riding per se. I just want to get this ride over with and start dealing with that ear infection. The ibuprofen that I took held up pretty well. It didn't bother me during the ride, but I hate having that stuff in my body, in my system. So I only take them when I absolutely have to. In fact, as I do this editing, it's still a little achy, but I have taken nothing the whole day because I don't need to. It's not as acute as it was the first day. So it's getting better because I can bend pick up stuff without pain from my ear. I'm glad we're able to get that video out when Paul came to visit the studio. That was really cool. That was another thing that I worked on instead of this film. Just the timing was a little weird, so I was able to do it today. It's a labor of love. It takes a lot of time to get this done right. I only know how to do things right.
Yeah, it's still running.
So we're checking to see if the battery's still working, still there. And then Frankie said, "Let's go," because that's what we do to him. And you guys can see when I'm out of the saddle, my profile is relatively almost the same. I don't even practice that. That's just the way it is. It never warmed up much this day. It didn't feel like 9C. Like 4.5. Just cold.
That guy back there, what happened is, when we're on the bike, we're not trashing, so we don't look like we're moving fast.
Talking about those guys that try to cut us off. He misjudged our speed.
He thought he could make it.
Yeah.
He was about to swear. I was like, hey!
Yeah.
I had to scream at the guy like, really?
Yeah.
Your buddy barely made it. And you think you can make it? What are we, invisible? Please. Sometimes you want to get out and have a conversation with those people. Anyway.
Yeah, we were on his hip as soon as he stopped.
Well, Get your K's in. Don't let anything stop you. Be safe out there.